Dr. Imaja Jubilee.
All over this land. Let's spread a little love through our hearts and hands. With love rising like the morning sun, we'll spread love till the day is done. All right then. Let's spread a little joy. I, Ann Dolores Brown, my birth given name, started my early education in Charlotte County, Virginia, in Sachs, Virginia, attending two-room brick school called Galilee School during segregation, during Jim Crow. It was two rooms. We had an outdoor toilet, we had an outdoor pump.
And so when we talk about what schooling looked like then, and very, very basic, I mean, amenities were very poorly funded. It really wasn't spectacular.
And every day, one of the things that stands out in my mind when I first started school was we had to say our chores. We had to say my fingernails are clean, I brushed my teeth, my hair has been combed, and I have on clean underwear, okay? We had to do that every day. Then we had to raise our hand and say Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, all right? And then as the day progressed on, they gave us book to read. Some of the books that I first read was Fun with Dick and Jane, all right? And with Fun and Dick and Jane, it was all white people. There was blonde hair. There were no black people in the books. There were no black images in the book. And we read out of those books all through the first through the fourth grade. And then one of the first black books that I got introduced to was called Little Sambo. And that book, when I think about it now, it just kind of turns me off.
Was fought in 1896. It decided that separate but equal accommodations were okay for black and white individuals. Separate was very, very obvious and apparent. The equal was kind of the bit more ambiguous because, in large part, equality and separate but equal depended on who was making the definition.
What they did was built new schools, and I went to Bacon District Elementary School, which was still in Sachs, and that school is still operating right now. I ended up graduating from there from the 7th grade. And then I went to Central High School in Charlotte Courthouse, Virginia, which was still segregated. Graduated from there in 1965. That class was all black, but I did graduate at the top of my class, okay? I think I might have been number 3. And that's why Miss Irma Blackwell, who was superintendent of the black schools, said, okay, you're gonna apply to Longwood.
So when colleges at that time, in a lot of capacities, were starting to try desegregation, they started with kind of grad school. The first African-American undergraduate students in the late 1960s. There was a student admitted, I believe, in 1966 or 7. That student did not finish.
When we got the letter back and it said I wasn't accepted, and okay, being a black and doing Jim Crow times, I didn't really see the significance of all of what was happening because I was only like 16, 17 years old. But Miss Blackwell was upset. She was very, very upset. She said, I'm gonna find out what's going on with this. Okay, and she said, get in the car. I got in her car and we came over here to Longwood. She put me out in the area, like where the rotunda is. I was seated out there from the registrar's office. And I saw all these white students going by. They were looking at me. And the look on their face was, like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? But I sat there patiently and I waited. And when Miss Blackwell came out storming out the doors, and she said to me, you did not get accepted, quote, because you were colored. I went to Virginia Union for a year, and then I ended up getting married. My education stopped at that point, if you want to call it, in the system, in the educational system, whether college, and it stopped right there for a long, long time. I ended up getting a divorce, and then I went on for a number of years without having finished my education. And then I had a daughter, which is Cosette Deshawn, and it dawned on me, I wanted to get my degree. The other friend and I applied to Virginia Commonwealth University. 2 hours every single day, because both of us was determined to finish school. And then, after, I was doing really good, and then I saw where I still needed to have another year. I finished my year at VCU. Oh, that was such an amazing experience. And I had to walk across that stage, and they handed my degree to me, and my mother was in the audience, holding my daughter and my father. And I came down off the stage. I said, Mama, you said I wasn't going to do it. I did it. Here's my degree, okay? I am not a victim of any of the circumstances that I've been through in trying to get my education. I am not a victim. I am victorious.